And they said, some said John the Baptist, others Elijah, others still Jeremiah, one of the prophets. And he said to them, but who do you say that I am? Simon Peter answered, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus said to him, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, because flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I also say to you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my... Come on. Ecclesia. Now the word ecclesia is the word assembly in Greek. Jesus could have used the word synagogue. The synagogue was an assembly place, but he didn't use the word assembly place. He didn't use the word synagogue. He used the word ecclesia. Everyone would have understood that the ecclesia is a governmental ruling body that rules over a Greek city-state or a Roman city-state. And so the disciples would have understood him by saying that when he said, I will build my ecclesia, he would build my ruling body. He would build my assembly.
Come on.
You have to get this right. We have to get this. Yeah. One little paradigm shift will shift the way we think about why we come together.
Yeah.
Amen.
The first time Jesus uses the word assembly is not to come together to hear the teaching of the word, though that's part of it. He comes together to rule. And in Matthew chapter 18, the main thing he says is that you actually rule through agreeing prayer where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name. Boy, if we would ever get that shift in our mindsets, every time we come together with faith, if you understand why the word is there, you will actually understand by definition that you are coming with faith to actually shift history.
Come on.
That would, if the church simply understood that Jesus didn't use the word church, he used the word ecclesia, it would all make such a huge difference. But because we don't know the definition that Jesus was using, and by the way, well, you know, the word church, coming from another word, means congregation or assembly. So what's the big deal? Why are you drawing straws? Well, it's a whole different deal than to have an assembly to come together in a building than to have an assembly that you're coming together around a throne to rule.
Come on.
It makes all the difference in the world. And in heaven, there is an assembly around the throne.
Yeah. Come on.
And we actually don't join this assembly, we join that assembly.
Yeah.
That's the deal. If we understood that, we're not coming to join an assembly, we're joining that assembly.
Yeah.
You have already come to Mount Zion, to the city of God. You've come to an innumerable company of angels, to the spirits of righteous men made perfect, to the ecclesia of the firstborn. You've already come to an innumerable company of angels. He said, you're not trying to get something here, you're getting something here, and you are already there.
Yeah.
In Christ Jesus, you are already there.
Yeah.
We are too earthbound in our perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just, it's interesting. Wherever I'm going now, there's this whole thing that people are starting to write on ecclesia.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's not working. Church is not working.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Jesus is going to reclaim a word that he spoke. He said, my words are spirit and life. My words are 7 times refined by fire. If he uses the word ecclesia, that everybody understood it was a ruling body, don't you think we should pay close attention to the red letter edition?
Come on.
I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to recover something if we're going to rule over the strongholds of the Himalayas and the Middle East. You don't come to just the gathering. You come to the gathering around the assembly where he stretches out his rod out of Zion and rules in the midst of his enemies. Oh. I tell you, this shift, you know, in this fast I begin to do, I feel I'm in this fast. I am fighting myself. I'm praying, Lord, build what you said you would build. I feel like giving birth to a new understanding of the word ecclesia and what that really is. It's interesting. Dean Briggs, my fellow compatriot in crime, he wrote a book called Ecclesia Arising. He just got an email from this guy from who knows where, Canada, who just started a website called Ecclesia Arising. And so he started this because he's just realizing that things aren't working, that we need to find another dimension in God and spiritual authority. So he started this web domain called Ecclesia Rising. He went in and typed Ecclesia Rising and found Dean Briggs' book, which is titled Ecclesia Arising. What's going on? Ecclesia is arising. And people are going to begin to hear it everywhere.
Amen.
They're going to hear it everywhere, because when God wants to change history, He gives a dream. And then not just one dream, there's a dream here, and a dream there, and a dream there, and a dream there. And suddenly the whole world is beginning to speak the same language, because the Spirit of God is actually distilling it upon His whole body.
Yes.
You come to the Ecclesia of God. That's why we're calling these nights Ecclesia. We may feel weak. We may feel a little like, who are we? But if we could simply just hear a little word, come up here, it'd make the whole difference.
Yeah.
I don't care how weak we feel. Come up here. You know, your cell phone there, David. I shared it last week, and this isn't what I was going to share on tonight, but I just want to offer it again because the name is Ecclesia. We might as well try to be one. Not be one, enter into one. By the way, can I just say this? I believe this. Maybe I've commented on before. In this passage, that Matthew 16 is to prayer what Matthew 28 is to the Great Commission.
Yeah.
Come on.
Listen, look at it. He says, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. In other words, he's saying, all authority has been given unto me.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going? Matthew 28. All authority has been given unto me. Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. All authority. That's what he's saying. All authority has been given unto me.
Yeah.
Does this make sense? Let me get. He's basically saying, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus says, yes, that's right. Upon this revelation, I'll build my church, my ecclesia, in the gates of. He's basically saying, all authority has been given unto me. In the book of Ephesians, He is seated at the right hand of the Father, and we are seated with Christ in heavenly places. In Matthew 16, all authority has been given unto Christ. He is the Son of the living God. And you are Peter. In other words, you're the same part. You're the piece of the rock. In other words, you are seated with me in heavenly places. Did you get that? Okay, I'm just trying to run through this. It just struck me today. Therefore, go and preach the gospel. Therefore, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven.
Come on.
Matthew 16 is to the prayer movement of what Matthew 28 is to the evangelism.
Come on.
In fact, Matthew 16 is the preamble to the Great Commission. I'm not trying to compare them and say one's better than another. I'm simply saying, Jesus was saying, if you don't get this right, flesh and blood has not revealed this to my Father. If you don't get this right, that all authority, you will never challenge the hellholes of Somalia or the inner cities if you really don't believe that He is the Christ, the Son of the living God, and you are seated with Him in heavenly places, and where 2 or 3 sons of God gather together in His name, in His image. Whatever they declare in faith, it shall be given to them. We don't know who He is, we don't know who we are, and we don't even know who the church is.
Wow.
That's the whole thing of Matthew 16. He is smashing paradigms in Matthew 16. He is saying, I'm not just a man. I am the Christ, the Son of the living God. And you're not just a little Cephas dude. You are a piece of the rock. Hallelujah. And you have that dominion keys that are being given to you. Yeah. And not only that, you're not just having a nice little gathering place. You are the ecclesia of God. This passage is filled with spiritual definition.
Come on.
And the church is, I'm not hardly using it anymore. Don't say that. Don't go quoting Luke. I get a lot of trouble. I just want to start using the word Jesus.